diff out there?
Man, he was much more than a jiu-jitsu coach. He was my MMA coach and one of my best friends. I feel good that I got the win, but I feel like it's not enough. I don't feel like I performed as well as I could have. I got emotional walking to the cage, which we tried to prevent. We practiced walking to the cage. I'm very lucky that I had the coaches with me that I did. The walks to the cage this morning before the fight to prepare for the walk to the cage tonight, I feel like that really helped me prepare to get out there without getting too emotional. I didn't want to have a dump before I got in the cage. I still had a little bit of an adrenaline dump when I got in there, but I have good guys in my corner. Even though Robert Follis isn't here yelling at me, everything that he ever said to me is still in my head, so it's still very fresh in my mind.
So, Tim, you actually played out the walk yesterday?
No, today before the fight, James Krause brought me in the hallway because I told him I was nervous about walking to the cage. I'm an emotional guy. I'm a passionate guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I didn't want that to affect my fight. The only time I really have my emotions in check is when I'm in the cage. So I didn't want to change from that. So before the fight, we put my walking music on. We did a countdown. We bounced around. We walked to the cage just like we would have before a fight. We stood at the cage. I took my shirt off. Hugged my coaches. I walked in the cage, and I started doing my little dance that I like to do. So it wasn't the first time tonight that I walked to the cage and prepared for that. So again, you know, that's all of my coaches. I have 3 great guys in my corner, and you know, that pushed me through tonight.
What has this week been like for you from checking? I know you've been asked about it a lot, but to go through all this after his passing so recently, what has it been like overall?
Man, it's been pretty rough. From the Canada fight. He was supposed to fly out with me Tuesday. I pushed his flight back to Thursday because he was going to be with Brian Caraway. Brian Caraway's fight fell through, so he called me, asked me to move the flight back to Tuesday. It would have been another $700. So he said, "Don't worry about it." Flew to Winnipeg, and you know, I didn't hear from him, so I knew something was wrong. Since then, I've been kind of on a little bit of a self-destructive path. I came out to Vegas early. Without my coaches, and I shouldn't have done that. I screwed around a little bit. I wasn't doing the things that a professional athlete should be doing, and you know, that was a mistake I made. I should have never came out here without my coaches. As soon as my coaches got here on Tuesday, they slapped a little sense into me and put me back on the right path, doing the things that I should be doing to prepare for a professional MMA fight.
Did you consider pulling out of this fight?
James Krause told me that I shouldn't take the fight right away in Winnipeg. And my words to him was, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste Follis' time. I put in a 2-month training camp with Robert. I spent every day with the guy. I took in a bunch of knowledge, a bunch of love, a bunch of support, and I didn't want to waste that. So, you know, I came out here. Like I said, I was screwing around a little bit, and as soon as he got here, I told him I felt like, you know, maybe I shouldn't have taken this fight. I cried a lot every day, and you know, he told me, he said, "You wanted this, you asked for it. You're a man of your word," and you know, I did what I said I was going to do. And again, it's all in my coaches. They're the guys who got me through this. I couldn't have done it on my own. I really believe that.
How would you describe now how you're feeling afterwards, after this whole emotional roller coaster comes to an end with a victory?
I feel like my adrenaline kind of dumped when I got in the cage. My arms were dead. I was going to bail on the choke. I was letting go of the darce, and James Krause said, "That's tight, stick with it, chase the hips." And, you know, again, he knows way more than I do. And my best attribute in fighting is I can listen to my coaches. I put all my trust and all my faith into those guys. I know they know what's going on. So as long as I can just keep my mouth shut and my ears open, I feel like I can beat anybody.
How much did having your old coaches here at IC Zach and James Krause, how much did that help you kind of pull through this? You talked about them pulling you out of the self-destruction.
It was everything. Like I said, my birthday was Christmas Eve, and then Christmas, I was here by myself. I was just drinking a lot, staying out all night, not sleeping. Those guys saved me. It's not the first time, though. It's nothing new. That's what friends do, and that's what coaches do, and I'm lucky to have those guys. Can I get a drink? Sorry.
What did they say to you that kind of pulled you out of that funk?
Man, they didn't have to say anything. I knew what I was doing wasn't right, and the whole reason why I love Robert Follis so much, he holds his guys accountable. Sorry, I need a drink. He holds his guys accountable. You know, he he's on the phone every day. What are you doing? What are you eating? What are you drinking? How much are you sleeping? And that's one of the reasons why I came up here to be around him. He's a full-time guy. He's a full-time coach. After the Ultimate Fighter and Demetrius Johnson, I was done fighting. I was on retirement. I figured, it wasn't for me. I fought the best guys in the world, and, the very best guys in the world, they beat me. So I thought maybe this wasn't for me. And, Robert believed in me fully. His only goal as a coach was to create a world champion. That's what he wanted to do as a coach. And, he told me that I was the guy. And he believed in me enough for both of us. So that's why.
What did you take into the octagon from Robert tonight?
Man, everything he ever said to me is still in my head. But again, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm good at taking orders. I just wish that I would have listened a little more, and I wish that I would have had a little more time. But I feel like the time that I did have with him was very special. And, I never questioned anything that he ever said to me, and I wouldn't question anything after what he's done.
Is there anything that you'd like to do as a tribute to Follis, something that you maybe have planned in 2018?
Just stick with it, keep working hard, not screwing off so much, trusting my coaches, trusting myself.
Tim, there was a moment, I think it was either the first or second round, which one? Did he bite your hand, or there was a moment, there was some problem? What happened there?
I said, my hand was stuck in his mouth, and I said that he was biting me, and he laughed, and he said, I wasn't biting you, I had my mouth open. And I said, well, why do you have your mouth open? He was like, all right. So we both had a little bit of a laugh. No big deal. I don't care. I mean, even if biting was legal, it's not that big a deal. It's a fight. So sometimes you get bit, sometimes you get kicked in the nuts, sometimes you get poked in the eye. That's just part of this game.
Any fight you want next?
I'm going to go back and talk with my coaches and try to get my mind right. Go back with my team and hug on my daughter and love on my daughter a little bit, and then we'll make a decision from there.
And
Are you sticking around at Bantamweight, or are you going back down to Flyweight?
This wasn't a really good judge for me at Bantamweight. I came into the fight in Canada for 125 pounds. I think I got there at 146. I came into this fight at 134. So I came into this fight way lighter than I've ever came into any 25-pound fight. But I wasn't taking my nutrition serious. I wasn't taking myself serious. I feel like it showed. I was dry in the fight. My mouth was dry. My arms were dead. I wasn't really feeling it. My feet weren't working like normal. And I think that's because I wasn't doing the things that I need to be doing for a professional athlete. So I might give Bantamweight another try. I would really like to see, what happens between TJ Dillashaw and Demetrius Johnson. I feel like I can do the flyweight. I just need to make a little more sacrifice and a little more adjustments. And, again, just listen to my coaches. They know what they're doing. That's the great thing about this. I have such good guys. Like, I don't even have to think. All I have to do is do what I'm told. And I feel like if I do that, then I can make the weight and I can beat good guys.
Tim, the guy you were supposed to fight in Canada, Pietro Mango, was released yesterday. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all. The thing is yeah, it was short notice, and he didn't make weight, but I fought John Dodson on 6 days' notice. They asked me over and over again, are you sure you can make it? Are you sure? They let me know pretty much, if you don't make this, then this is your only shot. And, I agreed to it, and I did what I was asked. So, no, I'm not surprised at all. He came into interviews bragging about how much bigger he was than me, which he wasn't. I stood right next to the guy. He's not bigger than me. But he talked about how much bigger he was, and then he didn't make weight. So he's getting exactly what he deserved. And the fact of the matter is, if you're 13-0 and not already in the UFC, then what's the issue? I started my pro career out with 0 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, and I got in the UFC. So he has the record. He has all the attributes. There's a reason why he's not here, and there's a reason why he got cut.
And you've been pretty vocal about some issues about pay and whatnot. Do you feel better, or is this something you need to work on and speak to the UFC about?
Man, again, I was a little bit of an emotional wreck. I worked hard to make the weight. I sacrificed a lot of time away from my kid. I had a really expensive training camp. For the first time in my life, I spent money on a training camp like I thought a professional NFL player would do it. I stayed in really nice places. I ate really, really good quality food. I had people, doing my laundry and stuff for me. For the first time ever, I felt like this is what a professional athlete is supposed to live like. And then I didn't get my paycheck, so I was upset. And what I should have done is I should have been a man, and I should have talked to him face to face instead of running my mouth on Twitter. But again, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm a fighter, and I'm an emotional guy. And I felt I felt like they weren't taking me serious. But you know, Mick did a good job. I talked to him. He made it right by getting me another fight. I asked for it. He made it happen. And you know, I love fighting in the UFC, and I feel very, very blessed and very, very grateful. And you know, Dana White and Mick and Sean Shelby, I love those guys. I enjoy them. I'm right where I want to be, and I have a great time being here. And I don't want to burn those bridges, and I don't want to be the asshole that cries about every little thing. But they said that they don't give their guys show and win money when opponents don't make weight, but that's not true. It has happened. I saw Ian McCall got his show and win money after his opponent missed weight. But and he got his show money whenever he made weight and then didn't show up for the fight himself. So I just felt like it was a bit of a double standard. I mean, I may not be that big of a name, but you know, I come out here and I fight my hardest, and I put a lot into this, and I want to get as much out as I put in. And I felt like that wasn't happening, but they made it right. They did. They fulfilled their end of the bargain, and you know, I couldn't be happier.
Speaking the way you do about your coaches and also about Robert, I know that you're still in the middle of your own career, but have you thought about a post-fight career and perhaps coaching down the road?
Man, I try not to think too much into the future. I want to focus on the now. I'm a live in the moment kind of guy, so I'm really trying to enjoy myself. And you know, I had a 5-year plan. For the first time in my life, I had a set plan. Like, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be here with Robert Follis. I'm going to work to try to become a world champion. And for the first time ever, I thought that was a possibility. And then you know, it was a pretty huge blow after his passing, and I feel like I owe it to him to at least give it a shot. So I'm not focusing anything on the future other than my next opponent, and then you know, then I'll go from there.